Today is Monday, April 8th, and as you heard me say before, the debut episode of the Fantasy Football Bros podcast. Jared Goff, or as Brian likes to call him, Jared Garfield, which I have no idea. What is that?
You're damn right. He sits around eating lasagna all day, dude.
Everything. He's smashering. He's doing it all.
Smash.
The smasher.
You know what else has been? Yeah, he's not smasher. He's smashering.
Robot out there just rolling around, one wheel, arms flailing all over the place, little pinchers on the end, and it constantly looks confused and it's smoking constantly. Not cigarettes. Smoking.
Here's my question.
Struggling.
Does this ref bot look like Rosie from the Jetsons, the robot?
I'm glad that you picked up. Yes, that is exactly what I was thinking of when I was describing this bot.
It's basically Rosie. It's the Rosie bot with a referee shirt on.
Yes, it's
I love
the same
it.
exact robot.
I love it. That's exactly what RefBot needs to look like.
A little bit. Michael Gallup.
100%. Michael Gallup higher than Amari Cooper. What about weeks 5 through 17, Chad? Weeks 5 through 17.
Still Michael Gallup.
Michael Gallup from weeks 5 through 17 was the number 13 wide receiver in half-point PPR format, and Amari Cooper was the 16th ranked wide receiver in that span.
Whoa! There goes my tight end. So, and I owned a lot of shares. Let me tell you, if you're in any of the leagues that I'm in with you, as you're listening, BroMob, you'll know that immediately I'm looking for a tight end. So, hit your boy up if you want to do some trades. Trades? Ooh. Here's the thing, Chad. My starts are actually guys that, are a litlittle deeper. Chad just picks he's like, start Pat Mahomes. I want you to start, let's start Michael Thomas at the wide receiver position. Duh. I think he's going to do well. So, especially against this Vegas. Terry McLaurin, Schmerkerderm. All right, that's a word.
Brian, let's get into our player risks. I want to know who's risky.
Oh my God. You did not run this by me. Against the Eagles, I don't see anything different. Team's going to be terrors. That's short for terrible. Christmas. I'm a big component of streaming, and I like this stream a lot. Quarterback Tyrod Taylor.
Hold on. Component or proponent?
Both. Can I get a little drop? Can I get a little? Fantasy playoffs. Wow.
Today is Monday, April 8th, and as you heard me say before, the debut episode of the Fantasy Football Bros podcast. Jared Goff, or as Brian likes to call him, Jared Garfield, which I have no idea. What is that?
You're damn right. He sits around eating lasagna all day, dude.
Everything. He's smashering. He's doing it all.
Smash.
The smasher.
You know what else has been? Yeah, he's not smasher. He's smashering.
Robot out there just rolling around, one wheel, arms flailing all over the place, little pinchers on the end. And it constantly looks confused and it's smoking constantly. Not cigarettes. Smoking.
Here's my question. Does this ref bot look like Rosie from the Jetsons, the robot?
I'm glad that you picked up. Yes. That is exactly what I was thinking of when I was describing this
basically
bot.
Rosie. It's the Rosie bot with a referee shirt on.
Yes. It's
I love
the same
it.
exact robot.
I love it. That's exactly what ref bot needs to look like.
A little bit.
Michael Gallup.
100% Michael Gallup, higher than Amari Cooper. What about weeks 5 through 17, Chad? Weeks 5 through 17.
Still Michael Gallup.
Michael Gallup from weeks 5 through 17 was the number 13 wide receiver in half-point PPR format, and Amari Cooper was the 16th ranked wide receiver in that span.
Whoa! There goes my tight end. So, and I owned a lot of shares. Let me tell you, if you're in any of the leagues that I'm in with you, as you're listening, BroMob, you'll know that immediately I'm looking for a tight end. So, hit your boy up if you want to do some trades. Trades? Blue. Here's the thing, Chad. My starts are actually guys that, are a little deeper. Chad just picks he's like, start Pat Mahomes. I want you to start, let's start Michael Thomas at the wide receiver position. Duh. I think he's going to do well. So, especially against this Vegas. Terry McLaurin, Schmerkerderm. All right, that's a word.
Brian, let's get into our player risks. I wanna know who's risky.
Oh my God. You did not run this by me. Against the Eagles, I don't see anything different. Team's going to be terrors. That's short for terrible. Christmas. I'm a big component of streaming, and I like this stream a lot. Quarterback Tyrod Taylor.
Hold on. Component or proponent?
Both. Can I get a little drop? Can I get a little? Fantasy playoffs. Why am I talking like this?
No one knows. Like Dracula. We're your hosts, Chad and Zach. Brian is invisible and nowhere to be found. And a bum. Earlier, Bendanucci. Thing that you can listen to, watch us on YouTube, where you can see Brian's mind's beautiful face along with Mr. Keanu Reeves over here in the corner. He's a special guest every week. It's a good time. Good time, Keanu Reeves. Yo! All right. Well, that was interesting.
Wow.
Yeah, welcome to the show, BroMob. Show 100. Welcome. Finally, we're only 52 minutes in, and we're late.
No, we're an hour and 2 minutes early. It was Pacific time that we were setting that on, right?
That's right. Specific time. Yeah.
Specific time.
Yeah. Brian's on mute. as always. Yep. Just
Well, yeah, I am. All right. The mic was muted. So was my brain. So
It's not like you had 58 minutes to figure it out. So,
only 53.
Ooh.
That's where we're at. So just saying. No, it's good to be here. Episode 100. We did it. It is round of applause. We did it. Most of it was due to me. I'm just going to be honest with you. I mean, without me, I don't know that the show could have actually happened. So, BroMob, we see a lot of you here live with us on various platforms. I think we're streaming live, Chad, on Facebook, Instagram. No, I'm sorry, Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube. I believe the tubes.
Yep,
the old tube.
Congrats,
Booby Tube.
Remember 3 things.
Ruby Tubey. Reminds me of Ruby Tuesday, which makes me hungry. But no, I'm pumped, man. I'm ready to go, ready to wrap up season 2 with episode 100. I got to tell you, never thought we'd get here. We talked about building this podcast, Chad, almost 2 years ago. And so here we are, from brainchild to episode 100. We've got Zach here with us, and all of you, BroMob, we're really excited to have you. So stick around. We got a lot of fun stuff to go through today.
Yeah, it's going to be great. I can't wait for it. We'll get an award show. We're reflecting, we're respecting, and at the end of the day, we're not good at what we do. So you're going to enjoy this. Brian's reminiscing on 5 years ago. Well, Zach and I have actual championships from this year.
Yeah.
Yep.
Well, nice.
That's all right.
Relevant.
Yeah.
Your face isn't relevant.
What?
Oh, thank you.
That's I don't know. Leave me alone. All right.
That happened a few times during the intro too, right?
Yeah. Well, everything has been jacked up for like the last few weeks. So this week,
can we talk about that?
Yeah. What was that?
Do you want to talk about that?
Did anybody else see a jungle?
Okay, yeah, that's where I was getting a little confused too. I was kind of taken aback.
I also heard a sound. It sounded like somebody recorded me in the bathroom when I was, in there for about 3 or 4 minutes deep. And sometimes those sounds come out of me, and I apologize. I don't know, Chad. I feel like you really, did me bad there by adding a manly grunt sound in there.
It was actually a video of you in the forest. You couldn't see me in there. One time we went hiking. So
yes. Well, what are you gonna do?
I believe that same day, we actually had the news calling for Sasquatch sightings. So it was a very interesting trip, very interesting time. So, BroMob, we got too much to talk about here. We can't be talking about Brian's bowel movements out in the jungle on this live 100th episode. What's going on here? We gotta give him. Okay. Jeez. Stop picking up time, Brian. You're the worst.
Oh, okay. Background's glitchy again. I like that too. So we're off to a great start. First live episode. Here we go.
Yeah.
Doing this right.
Well, let's get it started.
Good. All right. Yeah. Without further ado, BroMob, let's get into our 2020 Fantasy Bros Award Show. Hit it.
Just cut off half my face.
Yep. Just we gotta get rid of something there.
Right, yeah.
This beautiful face, of course. And Brian's, he's only he got saved because of his positioning. Here, let me just do this real quick while we move him. Hey. Perfect. Now let's cover him. Boom. Yay.
All right. See what you did there. I didn't like it.
Start off here, BroMob. We have a couple of, these aren't even awards, these are superlatives. But I'm going to go ahead and call them awards because I am doing this right now. This is our live show. Thanks, Franklin, for all this. So, starting it off, BroMob, we've got most likely to improve in 2021. Brian, your name's first, but I'm going to go with Zach first.
Well, thanks, Chad. My most likely to improve in 2021 is a guy who kind of came on a little bit late, and his name is Cam Akers. He had a ton of hype coming into this year. It was a Rams offense that he was coming into thinking that he was going to get a big bulk of the work. And he started off real slow. He was a healthy scratch in a few games early on. He just really didn't do too much. Then week 12 came along, and we saw him put together a string of 14, 15, and 20-point games. And he looked really good, really dynamic in those games. I think that's the guy that they drafted, that's who they want him to be, is that half Todd Gurley kind of guy. I'm not going to call him Todd Gurley because Todd Gurley with Rams was awesome, but that's what they drafted him to be. And I think seeing those games in which he did pretty well in, they are going to give him a lot of work next year. I think he's going to be awesome.
I'm actually with you. I picked up on Cam Akers towards the end there. I saw what he was doing. The injury kind of worries me, right? Can he handle a full workload? Is that what we're going to have to deal with in 2021? We'll have a full offseason to worry about it, right? But I'm kind of with you. I think the potential's there, and the offense definitely gives you that hope for a top-tier running back. So, yeah, I'm with you there. So, Brian, go. Jesus, what are you doing down there?
I was admiring this shiny, shiny ring that I got here from 2016 TFL champion, Chad. But let's get right into it. 2021 guy that I think is going to improve the most. Chad, big fan of him. You and I both. CeeDee Lamb, wide receiver of the Dallas Cowboys. CeeDee Lamb's kind of that. We were doing the Tale of Two Seasons episode, Chad. This would be a guy I would put on there. CeeDee Lamb with Dak Prescott was on a season-long pace in just 5 games for 1,385 yards and 6 touchdowns. You take Dak out of the equation after week 5, and he's only on a 730-yard, 4-touchdown pace if you run that over 16 games. So he still finished as a bona fide wide receiver 2 on the season. With everything that happened to that Dallas Cowboys offense, I don't see anywhere where he can't improve, or any scenario where he can't improve. So I like CeeDee Lamb going into 2021. I told you earlier, Chad, I'm going to put this on the board right now, that CeeDee Lamb is the wide receiver 1 on that offense in 2021.
You're going that far?
Yeah, I'm going to put it out there right now. Calling it. Boom. Just hit it. Yeah. Babe Ruth.
What are you predicting stats-wise?
I think you're going to see similar to what you saw at the beginning of the year. I think you're going to see a 1,200-yard, 6 to 8 touchdown season out of the guy. And I think ultimately he will probably out-target a guy like Amari Cooper. Amari Cooper is not as talented as CeeDee Lamb. CeeDee Lamb, in my opinion, is the most talented wide receiver on that roster. And I think that will show through.
Okay. That's big words. Do we already put a 5 on it?
No. Are you disagreeing with me?
Too much. I don't know, man.
He's a wide receiver 1 for fantasy in 2021. Easy. Okay. He's the wide receiver 1 on the Dallas Cowboys, the one you want to own the most. And I'm going to call 1,200 yards and 6+ touchdowns.
Okay. We'll see if you still feel that way in about a week.
Ooh.
You're a weak person, so. Interesting. Well, let's move into mine. I like how we just brush this off now. It's been happening.
Yeah.
You don't even know what's going on. So we're just going to keep on rolling through. BroMob, I've got mine for 2021, and it's the best of all 3 of these guys. All right. So let me go ahead and say his name. Chase Claypool, wide receiver for the Pittsburgh Steelers. Look, this guy, as a rookie, he had 9 receiving touchdowns, 62 receptions, 873 yards, and he was tearing it up in the middle of the season there. And he had a big game at the end of the season too, with Mason Rudolph throwing the football. So here's the thing. Juju, he gone. I think he's going to go Juju on that beat somewhere else. And what I'm going to be seeing is Chase Claypool, multiple touchdowns, straight up monster, killing everybody in the world, getting stopped. I don't know why he's killing everybody in the world. He's super apparently. And Chase Claypool is going to be, I'm saying, I think he's a top 12 wide receiver in fantasy next season. I think he's going to be huge. There's a lot of target share to come his way. Deontay Johnson can't catch a ball worth anything. It bounces off his hand. Hey.
I love Deontay Johnson. That dude is awesome. He had some drop problems, but
Peace posh.
His route running's impeccable.
Yeah.
He can't catch anything. It's stony.
He'll work on it, you know. So do you think Big Ben is there next year? Because I
do.
You do.
Yes.
I
Yes.
don't think he is. I can't help but think that he's not going to be in Pittsburgh next year. Where he's going to be, I don't know. Or if he's going to retire, who knows? He's not going to retire. But I don't know. That part worries me. I don't think he's going to be there.
Let me ask you this, Zach. He's on an 11-win team. They're playing a home playoff game. They are a playoff team in a year after they were barely a 500 team without him. I think they're very young. He's still able to win 11 games. I'm just going to keep saying that part. I don't think the Steelers are ready to let him go. Doesn't mean that they won't draft his eventual replacement. I don't think Mason Rudolph is the guy, but I do think that Pittsburgh starts to look for chapter 2, without Ben Roethlisberger. But I don't think that means Ben's not there.
Yeah.
Is there a question
for 2 years.
Okay.
Yep. All right. Next category. Is that what we're calling these? I don't know. Most likely to regress in 2021. So the opposite of this. I'll start it off. And I'm going to go ahead and say David Montgomery, running back for the Chicago Bears, who just ended as the running back 6 in half-point per reception leagues. And I just don't see it happening again. I see a team that had Mitch Trubisky at quarterback who was doing well, but I think he was doing well because they were leaning on the run a little bit more. Nagy, if they don't do anything in these playoffs, I think Nagy's gone. They're going to have a complete regime change. And what typically happens, they bring their own guys in. They like to draft their own people, bring their own people in. Tariq Cohen, he'll be back next season. We'll be seeing a lot more of the passing game go back to Tariq Cohen and away from David Montgomery, who had 6 catches this past week, and he had second on the team with 9 targets behind Allen Robinson. It's ridiculous. So I don't see that happening again. Because of that, I just don't see him ending as the running back 6 again. I mean, he had a cake schedule at the end of the year. So I'm not a fan.
It's fair. That's fair. I'm hesitant to put my stamp on him. I believe in the guy. I think what you're seeing right now is the way the Bears offense should be functioning. They just don't have a good quarterback. I saw a stat. Mitch Trubisky is, I think, 74% completion percentage if he's throwing the ball inside of 10 yards. If he throws it outside of 10 yards, 10 plus, it drops down to 45%. And I think analytically, it kind of speaks to what you have at quarterback. Clearly, Nick Foles was not the right answer. Now you have Mitch Trubisky. They didn't pick up his 5th-year tender, so he's likely gone. I mean, maybe they try to work a deal with him, a short-term deal as like somebody but they're not going to be able to draft a guy, not in this draft. So unless a free agent veteran drops them, I don't know, I'm looking at you, maybe Matt Ryan, then, I just don't see any world where that is probably. So I think Trubisky's probably the guy again next year. So if Matt Nagy wants to keep his job, you got to kind of run the ball.
I think there's a cheaper option than Matt Ryan, and that's Sam Darnold.
Ugh.
And I think with a proper coach, much like Ryan Tannehill, who we are all saying, ugh, in the past, I mean, he's been Adam Gase his whole career. I don't know.
You could sign him cheap, so that could be an option for sure. But I just, I don't know. I think the recipe for winning, unless you're playing the Packers or the Saints this coming week, probably the recipe for winning on that offense is clearly to run the ball, and they found it. I've been yelling this from the top of the freaking world for about the last season and a half. So finally they're running the ball like they should. The volume's there. If the volume's there, I think Montgomery can do well.
Good. All right. Why don't you tell us yours, Brian?
Good. Thanks for agreeing with me, Chad. So I'm gonna go with so likely to regress. This is a big name. I'm gonna get some heat for this one. I'm sure of it. Derrick Henry, running back of the Tennessee Titans. Yep, I'm putting it out there. So I think he regresses. That doesn't mean that he's a bust, but I do think he regresses a bit. Here's why. So, Chad, over the last 2 seasons, 681 carries over the last 2 years, last 2 seasons. Zach, 896 carries in 3 years. He's just turned 27 years old today. Happy birthday, big fella.
Oh.
So, but Derrick Henry is 27 years old today. That means by the time the season gets here, he's on the other side of 27, approaching 28. You've got 3 years of heavy, heavy volume. And historically speaking, that has never been good for a running back in the long term, beyond 2-3 years of that. So I think there's going to be a year where Derrick Henry kind of regresses a bit. Does that mean he's, outside of the top 12? That probably not. I think the volume's going to keep him there, but I do think that younger backs that have, hey, I'm looking at you, JT. I think those are going to be the guys that probably kind of supersede him.
So the last 2 people I can think of that had back-to-back 300 carry seasons were Michael Turner, who had a dramatic drop off, and then also I believe it was DeMarco Murray, who had a dramatic drop off as well. I mean, he was with Dallas, and then he went off to Tennessee the next year and had a similar workload. And
Philadelphia. Actually, it was Philadelphia first.
That's what it was, Philadelphia. So,
and again, that organization is terrible at running the ball. I've said it a million times. I'm going to get into it later, but even when you have a guy like DeMarco Murray there, who is a downhill runner, one cut slasher, that you don't even bother to run him the way you're supposed to. They ran him out of the shotgun way too much. He was never a good runner out of the shotgun. So he needs to get that downhill speed. So anyway.
Yeah, I'm normally pretty passive when it comes to this, but I hate that call. Derrick Henry is a freak, and he's not going to regress next year, dude. Get out of here.
You want to put 5 on this, son?
There is not a chance he. Have you seen this dude? There's no way. I called for a regression this year on him, and I put my foot in my mouth immediately. He's
let me ask you this:
a certified freak.
Let me ask you this: define regression.
Oh, I don't even want to hear this. He rushed for 1,900.
Yeah, if you want to get technical,
he's
only at 1,800 rushing yards this year.
No, look, in a half-point PPR format, he is a top 5 running back. So would the definition of regression be that he falls outside of the top 10?
Yeah.
I don't know if you can compare it with finishes as opposed to stats in this, because you never know, somebody could have a freak season like he did and move up above him, but he still has a good season. You know what I mean?
Again, regression would be if you say that his fantasy points per game in half-point PPR drop by 20%, is that regression?
I would call that regression, yes.
Sure. Okay. Would you put 5 on that?
No.
Then let's move on. All right.
Okay, that's fine.
Move it on.
Talk about it next season. Mine, talking about rushing. We've seen the story before of rushing QBs, right? Like where they have just this miraculous season. You know, we saw Cam Newton's 2015, Lamar last year, RG3 that 1 year, whenever that was. And then something happens where either they take hits or they just slow down. Lamar still had a good year last year, or this in 2020 here. He still had over 1,000 rushing yards. But the guy that I'm calling for regression is Kyler Murray. Albeit those other guys I mentioned, Kyler's a better passer than all of them. And he's got one of the best receivers the NFL has seen that he's thrown to in DeAndre Hopkins. But I don't think that rushing is sustainable. He did a lot of work with his legs this year. And that's the part of the regression that I'm calling for. His passing might pick up a little bit, but I don't see the rushing upside being as big of an upside next year.
Yeah, I'm with you. I mean, it makes sense, right? They don't want to put their franchise at stake. So I'm into that. I'm going to keep the show rolling so that we don't get too bogged down here. We got biggest possible landing spots or moves in 2021. Brian, you go first.
Yeah, so I would say, again, I talked about him a few minutes ago, but Matt Ryan is so intriguing to me, especially if Atlanta's going to draft a quarterback, which I think is likely. Then my question is, okay, well, does Matt Ryan, do they keep him? Do they move him as for a trade? Did they just release the guy? He's pretty expensive. So I think that's probably going to be a direction that team goes. So then if that's the case, then where does Matt Ryan land? Again, I talked about Chicago as an option. I don't know if Mitch is the future. Chad, you talked about quarterback out of the Jets. I forget. He's so terrible. But anyway,
Sam Darnold.
Thank you. Sam Darnold. Brain block, dude. I mean, look, hey, 100 episodes in, I still can't get stuff straight. But Sam Darnold, I would be surprised if the Jets just hang on to him. You're going to draft a quarterback. Why not see if he was gaced and let him roll for a year? Let the new coaching staff have a shot at him for 1 year, sign him to a 1-year deal if he'll even do that. But I think there might be an option there. But anyway, long story short, Matt Ryan is intriguing to me as far as where he could land.
All right. Zach, who you got?
The one guy that I'm pretty excited to see where he goes is Leonard Fournette, actually. He didn't look great this year, but he didn't look terrible, right? In his amount of work that he had. It's just that Rojo did pretty damn good all year, so he retained that starting spot. But I think Fournette provides value and can be a good asset for a team as a veteran back. I'd like to see him go somewhere like I feel like I always, whenever I talk about running backs and where I want to see them, I always bring up the Dolphins. I don't know why. I just want to see a good running back go to the Dolphins and see what happens, or San Fran could be another one too. I know that's running back heaven. Like they have 8 running backs on staff at all times, it feels like, but I feel like he'd be pretty good fits in both of those organizations.
Yeah, I like him in San Fran, to be honest. I think that's a better fit. And I'm going to move into mine just because I think we're talking about Miami already. And I think if Aaron Jones were to move to a new team this season or this offseason, and I'm saying if he were to move to like the Miami Dolphins, I think the sky's the limit for A.J. Dillon, and who we just saw absolutely tear apart Tennessee Titans defense, which isn't a good rushing defense to begin with, but he was able to he was like a little mini Derrick Henry, right? I mean, people were bouncing off of him. He had those big old thighs that made me question a lot of things. But yeah, I know it was weird. But AJ Dillon completely killing it. And I think if he were to take that job over in 2021, it's just going to be absolutely insane. And I want every bit of it if I can. In any league that's out there, he's going to be a late round flyer until Aaron Jones possibly signs elsewhere. But even with that, I don't see him being anything more than a 4th rounder or a 5th rounder in fantasy draft. He could be that guy you take in the 4th and 5th round that wins you the league, or at least gets you to the playoffs and keeps you rolling. So I really like AJ Dillon. And I really like that scene from The Predator where Arnold Schwarzenegger walks up and he goes, Dylan, and he just does the handshake. It's the best thing in the world.
Yeah, no, I think, they drafted him for a reason. He's got to be the future at some point. And so I liked what I saw. I think, I just don't know how you can get rid of Aaron Jones. Like, the guy is unbelievable.
Yeah, it's Jamal Charles 2.0. But anyway, let's move into the next one. We got a whole lot here. I brought this one up, and the only reason I did is because I saw a tweet the other day from the Chicago Bears that said that they gave this award to a guy named Mitch Trubisky, and it's called the Good Guy Award. I feel like it was to make up for the fact that they benched him for Nick Foles. Right. Mitch, listen,
you're a good guy.
All right, here you go. The Good Guy Award is yours. Have fun with this. So I'm going to start it off with mine, and this is the truest good guy of them all. And that's Alex Smith. Look, he comes back. His leg looked like meatloaf. I don't even understand how he's able to walk, but now he's able to play football. And he's able to carry Aaron Donald on his back when he played the Rams, when he's getting sacked. He's literally just holding him up there. I was waiting for that leg to just explode into a million microbits. But it held up. He held up, and now they're in the playoffs. So kudos to you, Alex Smith. You're a real good guy.
Real good guy.
It was a good story. It was good to see him get back on the field. Now he's in the playoffs, which is even more fun. I'm going to go with a guy that never wins a freaking award, and he deserves it. I love him to death, and that's Russell Wilson, my guy, dude. I love me some Russ. I've loved him from college into the pros. And, I don't know what the guy's got to do to get an MVP. It's unbelievable. So, Russ, I got you, bro. You're a good guy.
Well, he won the award of getting married to Sierra, so good job, Russ. My good guy is you're talking about Alex Smith. How about his coach, Ron Rivera? Battled cancer throughout the whole year, finished up his treatments just a few weeks back, and now he's in the playoffs. He got an IV during halftime, I think, this past week or a couple weeks ago or whatever, so he could stay out with the team and keep going. That dude is a baller. That's ridiculous. Kudos, Ron Rivera. Way to stick it out. Way to beat it, and way to get into the playoffs in your first year with his team.
And way to be a good guy.
A good guy.
Just a real good guy. All right.
Does anybody, does your bum go numb when that happens? Mine does.
What?
My bum.
Nope. I just think you wanted to say that because it rhymes.
Yeah.
So we're going to move on from your rhyming. Get out of here, Dr. Seuss. 2021 2020 biggest bust of the year. I'm going to start it off with this one because I believed in this guy, and that's Clyde Edwards-Helaire, straight from Kansas City. I saw the sky the limit, especially after week 1 when we saw how they were using him, and then things changed rather quick, right? I mean, he wasn't getting used nearly as much. He wasn't as efficient with his carries at the red zone as they would have liked him to be. And then they brought in Le'Veon Bell halfway through the season, and it destroyed the remainder of his season, just like the injury destroyed the ending of his season. So Clyde, who was going at the middle of the first round in a lot of drafts, I've actually seen him go. I saw him go as early as the number 2 pick overall in a draft. And so that team's ruined, and B, it was just a dramatic drop off from what we were expecting from this guy. The sky was the limit with him. We were expecting a lot more touchdowns, yardage in the air, yardage all around. It was really disappointing. So Clyde is the bust of 2020.
That team's ruined. They should have taken Christian McCaffrey or Saquon Barkley, who did awesome this year too. Chad, did you happen to see the Madden edition or the Pro Bowl edition for the AFC this year?
No.
Well, it was Mr. Clyde Edwards-Helaire. Apparently, the Madden tournament, whatever, score the most touchdowns with X player, and they get into the Pro Bowl. It was Clyde, so bust.
At least we know that he's good in Madden, right? I mean, Madden is a good guy.
He still has like an 88 rating in there. I don't know. I don't play Madden, so yeah.
All right, who you got, Zach?
I got I don't even like this call because I was off of them to start the year, but it was the Miami backfield, Jordan Howard and Matt Breida. At the beginning of the year, you could see these guys going in like the 8th to 10th rounds. I think they had ADPs of like the RB30 and RB34. So you're drafting them as like your RB3, your flex player. And then they combined for 63 points this year. Howard got 30 of them and Breida got 33. Howard started off the year in a weird way. He rushed for 14 total yards in the first 4 games, but he had 3 touchdowns. And then he just hardly played the rest of the year. I think he got injured and then he was a healthy scratch in a bunch of games, and Gaskin just kind of took over that backfield along with Salvin Ahmed, who was awesome for the few weeks that we saw him. And Breida was kind of in a similar fashion. He got kind of consistent work over the year, but never like high volume. And he didn't find the end zone either, so that really hampered him. But those guys really, really did not provide any value for your team. Even if you would have gotten them in the last round, you couldn't have kept them.
Yeah, I hear you. I was expecting a lot more out of Jordan Howard as well. I don't understand how they didn't use him. Actually, I do, because he was extremely inefficient and he was terrible. But anyway, I just didn't see it happening either. So, Brian, who you got?
Yeah, so Zeke Elliott is a guy that just instantly popped in my head when I saw this question, and I had to check to go back. Depending on the format you played in, he could have been an RB1. but man, it was not good. Averaged 13.2 points per game and half point PPR. That is not what you drafted Zeke Elliott to do. Zeke, it went, in some drafts, number 1 overall, and some he was top 3, top 4. This is a guy that, number 1, the volume is what you feel like kept you safe with the floor was the volume of carries and touches he got. Well, that kind of went away. I mean, it went heavier into the passing game, which was favorable. You want to see that for Zeke, but you also want the floor for the carries to be there. So that made Zeke a little bit more volatile throughout the year. And then because of the passing involvement, when Dak Prescott went down, so did Zeke Elliott kind of. So you can kind of see that in his numbers for the year. So just a really rough year. And then you get through part of the year, and I guess he's dealing with calf injury or whatever it might be. But then you see almost a timeshare split between him and Pollard. Also not what you want to see in your top 3 or 4 pick running back in fantasy football. So I would say he could quite possibly be and this is, again, I don't want to pick a player that got injured. Christian McCaffrey could easily be considered a bust. So could Saquon Barkley. So could Joe Mixon. But those are guys that dealt with injury throughout the entirety of the year. So I try to exclude that and look at a player that actually stayed healthy or played healthy for the majority of the year and did not perform well. And when I think of that, Zeke Elliott's like he's like the biggest name that pops into my head. So that's a prototypical bust, in my opinion.
Yeah, I hear you there. Let's go into the next category. We got 2 more, then we're going to move into the next segment. Most surprising player of the year. I'll start it off, and I'm going to say Stefon Diggs, straight out of Buffalo. I mean, I thought for sure this guy had bust written all over him in my eyes. Wide receiver on a new team, typically always bad news, and a wide receiver on a team with Josh Allen, who was incredibly inaccurate up until this point out of nowhere. So it screamed do not draft in my eyes, right? I mean, I passed on him a couple different drafts in a couple different rounds that I should have taken him, just like everybody else did. I think he was consensus 4th round guy going out of the draft. So Stefon Diggs come together with huge end of the season too, and he probably won you your championship weeks because of how big of these games that he had. So Steph Diggs, my bad, man. You were surprising to me. My bad.
That's okay, Chad.
Yeah, it's okay, man. Don't cry. I'll go second here. So I'm going to mix it up a little bit. DK Metcalf. I'm going to say his name a couple times here before we wrap this show up, but boy, was I wrong. Chad, you called it. I'll give this one to you hard. You're going to talk about it in a little bit, so no need to get into that. But man, DK Metcalf surprised living daylights out of me. The guy reminds me of Megatron. Like, he's just so big. He's able to go get the ball. He's so fast. To be able to chase down a DB on an interception during that Cardinals game, unbelievable. DK Metcalf, what a season. Hats off to you. He's a guy that I'm going to want to own shares of in next year's fantasy football leagues.
Speak chairs?
Yes, a lot of
DK chairs.
Yes, I want to own chairs that DK has sat in, specifically bare-assed. That's the idea.
Would you call DK chairs to rest those Metcalfs? What?
Both talking
Next.
All right.
My biggest surprise, and I'm ashamed to say that I wasn't expecting much from this guy, but shout out to our buddy Mike Payne, who said that this guy was going to be awesome. It's Justin Herbert. And I wasn't expecting much in terms of a career, and then he comes out and is competing for Offensive Rookie of the Year, and he's ridiculous. I thought he was really raw, and the last big quarterback to come out of the Oregon Ducks was Marcus Mariota, so bad taste in the mouth there, but I am glad to be proved wrong on this. He looks ridiculous. The win-loss column didn't show how good he did. Anthony Lynn is gone, so I think next year could be a lot different for him in terms of the win-loss column, but he still finished as a top 10 QB in a season that he wasn't even supposed to be a starter right away. He's got a really promising career. And a quick runner-up, is my baby James Robinson. I've mentioned him on every podcast here, but and I'll talk about him in a little bit too, so I don't need to go too in depth. But he just almost broke the record for an undrafted rookie in terms of rushing yards. So he's the best.
Oh, okay. All right, that's it. I'll move on then. Best player of the year. I'll start it off again because my name, it's probably the number one player in everyone's minds, and that's Alvin Kamara. I don't think it would have been him if it weren't for the 50-plus point effort in everybody's championship game. How is it not the best player when he single-handedly won you that week in, I would say, 98% of leagues? There are some leagues out there I saw people come back and beat the team that had Kamara, but it's just such a hard task to see that. So, I mean, Alvin Kamara, hats off to you, man. I'm not taking my hat off because I've had hair, but hats off to you theoretically and metaphorically and all those other words. Quite the season from you, and I'm really impressed. Good for you, man. You're a good guy.
Well, and one of those teams that might have come back and beat a team with Alvin Kamara in the championship might have had my guy on it, and that's Davante Adams. Davante Adams and Aaron Rodgers are a tale as old as time, or since 2017 or whenever they first started going off together. And they've 2017, 2016, I don't, who cares? Yeah. But he finished this year as the wide receiver 1, and he missed 2 weeks early on in the year. Since then, he's had as many games under 10 points as he's had over 30 points, and that's 2 each. And he finished the year with 18 touchdowns. He's a red zone dynamo, and Rodgers was just stupidly efficient when he was targeting him. He was that player that just won you weeks in and out and really didn't have too many bust games. So he was my fantasy MVP.
Like it.
Thanks. Yeah, I like it too. Chad, I'm gonna go with Dalvin Cook. Owned him in a couple leagues. Guy that owned him in our league, Zach, you actually beat him, but in our league of record. But man, I tell you, here's what I liked about Dalvin Cook at half-point PPR. Actually outscored Alvin Kamara in points per game on the year. So 23.1 points per game. By the way, Zeke, that is the kind of point production we were looking for from you. And versus Alvin Kamara, 22.8. So Alvin Kamara had the more electric ending to the season, but man, throughout the entirety of the year, Dalvin Cook was scorching hot. I want to say that, and we'll talk about it in a minute, but I was all over that. So Dalvin Cook, absolutely electric, huge name. And I think he's going to be just as good next year, to be honest with you.
All right. Well, BroMob, that is it for our award show. Congratulations to all of the winners and all of the awardees. And it's time to move into our next segment, and that is Reflect and Respect. Yet.
Oh.
All right. Perfect.
Fire.
All right. Well, starting it off, we got 2 different categories here. One is what we have gotten wrong and what we got right. We'll start it off with the wrongs here because we shouldn't always be patting ourselves in the back for all the good that we do here, even though we do a lot of good. And I'm going to start it off with a few names that I got wrong. First one, Aaron Jones. Look, I thought for sure this would have some regression to it. He did regress. He only had 10 total touchdowns this year, 9 rushing. So he didn't have quite the 19 and the 20. So it was half the production there, but he was still the running back 5 in half-point per reception leagues. So he still had himself a good season. He was a really good second-round pick if you took him, and he helped you get to the championship. He probably didn't help you win the championship because he didn't have a great game. Shout out to AJ Dillon. But it was a great season from him. So next one I got here, Miles Sanders. Look, this is a guy that I was putting a stamp on. I was calling him my guy. He was going to be great. And instead what happened, he got Philadelphia Eagled. He got Doug Peterson. He got injured. So everything didn't work out for him. He was, however, producing pretty well in the beginning of the season for those first 4 games before he got injured. So I was really proud of that for a little bit there. I was getting excited, getting pumped. I didn't call it bust, but at the end of the day, he ended up being a little bit of a bust. So wrong on that one. And the last one, big one, Keenan Allen. I mean, Jesus, this guy just went off. I was kind of in the same boat as Zach over here, saying that I thought for sure that Justin Herbert, the Sherbert swirl himself, was going to be a melted bowl of ice cream. And I'm just going to go with ice cream puns from here on out. And so I thought it was going to be a rocky road. I don't know. So it was going to be really, really tough for Keenan Allen to continue to do really good things with a rookie quarterback who was going to be struggling. And it just didn't happen. Instead, he was the safety blanket for that rookie. And he was just catching balls left and right in half-point reception leagues. He was a monster aside from the injury that he had at the end of the season. He didn't play the last 2 games. But, I mean, he was putting up teens left and right. So, Keenan Allen, hats off to you. Everybody else on this list, poo-poo to you, because I thought for sure those things would be good, but it wasn't good. So, Zach, please take over.
No more ice cream puns? What do you... I had Justin Herbert and Keenan Allen on my list, too. I had same call as you, we talked about that. That's fine, whatever. My other one was another wide receiver and quarterback combo, and that's Tom Brady and Mike Evans. I'm sorry, Tom Brady. I don't know why I would ever doubt you. You are the greatest quarterback that we've seen. And yeah, you really showed out this year. 43 touchdowns. Yikes. And Mike Evans, you got 13 of them. Also, yikes. And another 1,000-yard year. So look at that. They were great for fantasy. And yeah, my bad.
You're bad indeed. I did tell you quite a bit, I believe, also about Herbert, Zach. I believe actually if I could scroll back far enough in the text messages, I think we would talk about there was a conversation about Herbert, and also I believe there was a conversation about Keenan Allen in there. So just want to remind you of that. I don't know if you know this or not, but kind of got one of these guys.
I think we're supposed to be talking about DK Metcalf, Zeke, and Kelsey. Not,
hey, relax. How dare you give up my secrets? Look, my bad calls this year. Again, I talked about DK a few minutes ago. Was off. Guy's a stud, absolute stud muffin. Zeke Elliott, had him ranked as number 2 running back overall. I think everyone was wrong there. I don't know that anybody could see that coming. I would only say that maybe when we talked about Mike McCarthy scaring us a little bit, that's the only thing I can go back and look at. So Zeke Elliott definitely was wrong there. And then I'm going to say it, man. Kelsey, Travis Kelsey, tight end of Kansas City Chiefs. I was wrong. I thought for sure you'd see the schedule really put a lot of pressure on him. I think we both thought that, Chad, and I think we both need to tell the BroMob here that we were wrong.
Yeah, definitely wrong. I thought for sure this was the Kittle dethroning season. Instead, he dethroned himself via injury. And Travis Kelsey went off, broke records.
Absolutely broke. Smashed him.
Yep. All right, let's go into the ones that we were right on. Brian, you ended it there. Let's start it with you.
Oh, well, thank you. I don't mean to gloat too much. I said 6 times in the fantasy championship in a row, 6 years. But, Mike Evans, I did say it, BroMob, not once, not twice, not even thrice, but 3. The combination of 3 and 5. That's how many times I said it. I said, even when they signed Antonio Brown, this was better for Mike Evans than it was for Chris Godwin. I said before the season that Mike Evans was the guy you wanted to own. He was the touchdown monster. Chad, you said that too. And so we were all over Mike Evans. I think we were one of the only podcasts that were actually all over him as much as we were. Huge Mike Evans fan. I talked to him last night. He was like, hey, Bri, thanks for having my back. I was like, look, Mikey Ev, don't worry about it. So Mike Evans, love the guy. Chase Claypool, another guy I talked about in the preseason. I loved what I saw, in training camp. Watched a little bit of tape. Loved what I saw coming out of college. Thought there was an opportunity if they would just get him involved, and they finally did throughout the season. So Chase Claypool, huge. If you were able to grab him throughout the year, he likely had a lot of help on your team. I have him in Dynasty, so I'm really excited about that. Miles Sanders, said it a million times, Chad. You wouldn't listen to me. I told you to stay off this guy, stay away from all the Philadelphia Eagles running backs. I also said, look, upside on Dalvin Cook was there. I really liked the fact that he was in a contract year, was really running for the money. And then I'll say too, I'll wrap this up a little last one, Kenyon Drake. I liked what I saw coming in. didn't quite turn into what I'd hoped he would. But he was definitely a serviceable running back for majority of the season and did, I believe, finish as a solid RB2.
Meh.
Yeah, man.
Solid meh.
He's an RB2. What are you mad about?
I feel like that.
Right.
Yeah, that was kind of the consensus with RB2s this year. Like Todd Gurley was an RB2, but you weren't happy about having him on your team. Kenyon Drake was an RB2. Like it just
you weren't happy if he was your only dude. Yeah. But if you had Kenyon Drake and say Alvin Kamara, you were much more happy.
Yeah. I'm going to go into mine now. So DK Metcalf, I'll say it all day. I had him as a top 10 wide receiver. I had a few people laugh me at Twitter. Who's laughing now? Okay. Brian, you had him outside the top 20. Where were you at? DK Metcalf, I just saw muscles and I was like, yep, this is it. Actually, what I really saw was the end of last season and him tear it up in the playoffs and absolutely dominate everybody, really. I mean, in the playoffs there, he had back-to-back 100-yard receiving games, and he had a touchdown score. So he was looking great. So I saw that, and I go, that's got to carry over. It did. He looked great. He lost me a championship at the end of the year, too. So thank you, DK Metcalf, for both getting me there and also destroying me. So thank you very much. Kyler Murray, same exact story. Got me there, destroyed me at the end. But, man, did I call him? I thought for sure he was going to be the QB1. I think he ended up as the QB3 due to injury at the end of the year. But look, everything aligned for him, right? They brought Hopkins in. He had offensive line help come in. He had a defense that actually improved. So things just all came together for him. Everything looked great. He looked great. Everybody that drafted him were great as well. So it was really great. And then finally, I like the word great. Jonathan Taylor, I called it before the season that you were going to be a league winner. I faded you in the middle of the season.
Shame on you.
Texted you. I said, hey, you got to step it up, man. You got to get in there. You got to bring it to the house. He said, listen, Chad, I know, my bad. I'm going to do it. I go, that's right. We're on first name basis, Jonathan Taylor. So we're going to do this. He did that. And not only did he do that, but he won you your league at the end of the season by just going absolutely a petit déjeuner. I don't know if anybody knows a little bit of Saturday Night Live, Jeopardy. Celebrity Jeopardy, but if you know what I'm talking about, you know what I'm talking about.
I believe it's Ape Tit for 500.
Yes, Ape Tit. Yeah. Ape Tit for 500. And that's pretty much what he was scoring fantasy-wise. 500 points. He was just going off. I mean,
Ape Tit.
Huge carries over into 2021.
Yeah, how are you guys getting a hold of all these NFL players? I haven't talked to a single one.
Zach, you've only been around for a few episodes, man. When you're a celebrity like me, you got a championship 6 years in a row in fantasy playoffs. It just happens, Zach. You got a championship now. You'll see.
How many championships did you get? How many championships did you get this year?
I got one this year. How many did you get?
I got the old moral championship.
Morally. Sit down and be quiet. Now it's time for a champion Zach to talk.
Yeah, my lights keep flickering in here, so I'm getting a little freaked out. Sorry. I keep. Anyways, I have just one player. I think everybody knows who's coming up. James freaking Robinson. Woo, my boy. Got him in all 3 leagues I'm in. Called it right when Fournette got released. They released him for a reason, and that reason is James Robinson. The dude was awesome. He had over 1,000 yards, 10 touchdowns on the year, and almost 50 receptions. Didn't see that coming. He's ridiculous. Finished as the RB7 too, I believe, in most leagues. So that's a hell of a year for a guy that most people didn't draft or got in the last couple of rounds of their draft, and he slotted in as my RB2. I'd way rather have him as an RB2 than Kenyon Drake. I tell you what. James Robinson,
terrible,
my guy.
Yeah, James Robinson was more than a 2, though. I mean, he was a bona fide 1. Bona fide. You guys remember that commercial? The bona fides. I don't know why.
Bona fide.
There we go. Bona fide.
You gotta really get deep into it. Like
terrible.
Bona fide.
All right. That's gonna be it for this segment. Jeez, this episode just going crazy.
What? Where's Zach?
I don't have no idea.
Zach's like, I'm out of here, dude.
I'm out of here.
Zach bounced out on us. He's like, I ain't messing with this. Oh man, I don't even know. That was really weird.
Do we wait for him or
we're not? No, we're gonna hold up, BroMob. We got to finish up the show. We only got Super Bowl picks left anyway, so let's just rock it out. We'll give you Zach's Super Bowl picks. Sorry about that.
That's fine. Thanks, Zach. Zach's pick. I'll do it. Packers 27 against the Bills. Ooh, 24. I mean, that's going to be a good game.
Yeah, I like it. I agree with the Bills part. I think the Bills are my Super Bowl pick. I think the Bills are going to win the Super Bowl. I'm picking them. I think I've got Bills, Packers. Bills 31, Packers 21. I think the Bills beat the Packers in the Super Bowl.
All right. Well, I don't have the Bills, but I don't also have the Packers. So I have a different outcome here. I've got the Chiefs playing against the Buccaneers. I'm calling it Tom Brady's coming to town, and he's going to be in the Super Bowl against Pat Mahomes. It's going to be a really close one. I got the Chiefs winning 28-24. Pat Mahomes comes away back-to-back years with a championship. It's going to be real nice.
That would be a really fun Super Bowl. Like, I would really enjoy that. So hopefully that is the Super Bowl. But I really want Josh Allen to win it. The Bills, I'm a big Bills fan this year. Cowboys sucked. So I became a Bills fan about halfway through the season.
Yeah, I'm rooting for the Bills. I just don't think it'll happen.
Well, Zach's on my side. I think we both like the Bills, but apparently he wants the Packers to win. I don't know what's up with that.
Yeah. So. He's a Vikings fan. I don't even know why he would want that.
Stupid.
Crazy.
I mean, clearly a guy that can't stay in the show can't get his mind straight.
Yeah, I know. That's very true. Very true. All right, BroMob. It's been amazing. 100 episodes has happened. It's come, it's gone. And I mean, we haven't really gotten any further into this whole Brian?
Chad? Chad? What is happening?
What is Chad?